15 foods exported from China you should never eat. The United States conducts heavy trades with China. Beyond the millions of textiles and plastic products imported from across the Pacific Ocean, the US also brings in a variety of Chinese foods. While plenty of foods exported from China are perfectly healthy, some products aren't thoroughly vetted enough to be considered safe for consumption. Research surrounding some Chinese goods revealed serious health and safety problems with common products that could be in your kitchen right now. Today's video, we'll be discovering why these 15 exported foods from China should never be eaten. Many on the list might surprise you. And there's a bonus item at the very end that you should be very careful in selecting the right source because it just used to be about every Asian cuisine and you really need to know about it. If you like more videos like this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any future videos. Number 1. Rice noodles. If you're going to make an Asian-inspired dish, rice noodles imported from China seem like the obvious choice. They add a little authenticity to your meal, and they generally taste quite good. Unfortunately, the factories that produce rice noodles have been known to use sulfur dioxide. In theory, the chemical helps the noodles appear fresh. In practice, however, sulfur dioxide has been linked with cancer. Stay away from this harmful chemical and try to find a source for your noodles that's a little closer to home. Number 2. Table salt. While table salt is a common staple in your home, you'll want to steer clear of salt imported from China. Although China is one of the top salt manufacturers in the world, the process they use to produce so much of this ingredient renders the salt unsafe for humans. Chinese salt is commonly filled with metals and other substances that should never enter the human body. Since the large majority of Chinese salt is unsafe for consumption, the Chinese companies are supposed to sell the product as an industrial salt never used for cooking. However, many manufacturers have been passing off this unsafe industrial salt as table salt for years. Number 3. Eggs. Many of the products we consume every day come from China, and the same goes for eggs. If you look closely, some eggs offered at your grocery store do not come from local farms. However, you should check the origin of your eggs next time and avoid buying those that come from China because factories there use calcium carbonate and paraffin in their eggs, so you risk poisoning yourself if you eat them. Number 4. Beef. In general, buying any kind of meat in China is not a good idea. Because of the manufacturing process, most of the meat is riddled with diseases that can make you seriously ill. Chinese meat shops are known for their quick production and less than ideal safety standards, so much of the meat comes in contact with unwanted bacteria. In addition, Chinese meat shops have a tendency to mix multiple things together to create something that looks and tastes like beef, but isn't really beef. If you're buying beef from China, you might actually end up with a mix of chemicals, paraffin wax, and who knows what else. Number 5. Apple juice. As one of the largest agricultural producers in the world, China's booming industry uses some questionable methods to keep up with demand. China uses pesticides to grow many of their crops, and those harmful chemicals often make it into your apple juice. A few popular brands of apple juice sold in the US from China have shown high levels of arsenic. The arsenic likely comes from liberal use of pesticides in the process of growing the apples. If consumed often enough, the chemical element could cause serious health problems, especially to kids. Number 6. Mushrooms. Tainted mushrooms coming out of China are common. Beyond soaking up pesticides like many other types of Chinese produce, the mushrooms are often mislabeled in order to drive up the price. Manufacturers will stamp normal mushrooms with an organic label, hoping to gain more profit for their work. Beyond being filled with harmful chemicals, imported mushrooms are also sprayed with preservatives to appear fresher. Food inspectors have found many problems with mushrooms imported from China over the years. In our opinion, it's not worth the risk. Buy your mushrooms from a different source and leave the Chinese mushrooms on the shelf. Number 7. Green peas. High in fiber and antioxidants, green peas are a healthy choice in veggies. If you buy green peas imported from China, however, you can't guarantee that you're actually getting green peas. Many of the green peas that come out of China are actually conjoined up in a lab using a mix of products. Your bag of green peas might be a concoction of soybeans, snow peas, food bleaches, and preservatives. China's green peas are rarely the genuine article. Not only are they filled with cancer-causing chemicals, but they also keep you from reaping the benefit of real green peas. Number 8. Shrimp. As with other seafood items from China, imported shrimp shouldn't be on the top of your grocery list. A few years ago, the Institute of Environmental and Human Health Food Lab at Texas Tech University studied different bags of shrimp bought from different stores around the US. At the conclusion of their study, they report that every sample was contaminated with enrofloxacin, chloramphenicol, and carcinogen nitrofurazone. Each of these substances is available in antibiotics that are illegal in the US. Due to the conditions in China, the shrimp are exposed to all of them. Consequently, anyone who buys the shrimp then ingests those substances. Number 9. Tilapia. Tilapia may grace your table more often than some other seafoods, but this fish isn't any safer if it's coming from China. Tilapia thrown in tiny tanks teeming with fish are cramped and dirty with sewage and garbage. The water in the tanks is full of highly toxic chemicals and other damaging substances that you should never want in your body. Take our advice. If your fish is imported from China, just don't buy it. Before they end up on your dinner plate, the fish have spent their lives soaking up the chemicals around them. They're perfectly primed to pass those chemicals to you. Also, choose with care if you're planning a seafood-themed buffet dinner at a local restaurant. Number 10. Ginseng. Much of the ginseng that exists in the US comes from China. This root product is one of the most common foods exported from the country. However, that certainly doesn't mean it's safe. Greenpeace tested ginseng from China and found that every single product had some trace of pesticides and other harmful chemicals in varying amounts. Each root didn't have just one chemical either. Every root contained multiple chemicals known to be damaging to the human body. Since it might be difficult to find ginseng not imported from China, you may have to cut it out of your diet entirely just to stay safe. Number 11. Tea. The Chinese consume and produce a very large quantity of tea, so it is normal to think that buying tea from China can do no harm, but this is not true. Before you let yourself be tempted by the purchase of tea from China, remember that it could very strongly contain nearly 30 toxic chemicals. In principle, these toxic teas are not exported out of the country, but it is better not to take any risks. Number 12. Rice. Much like rice noodles, buying rice exported from China seemed like the obvious move. The Chinese eat rice with nearly every meal, so it has to be good, right? Sadly, that isn't the case. Many rice factories in China include a synthetic resin to their rice. Not only are you basically eating plastic, but the chemicals included in the resin are known to cause cancer. If you don't want to eat plastic rice, try to find a brand that isn't made in China. Number 13. Cabbage. Although crop production somewhat depends on the season, Chinese farmers can't afford to lose any of their crops, no matter how harsh the weather may be. During the hot summer months, cabbage becomes wilted and inedible. In order to keep their cabbage looking fresh during the hottest months of the year, farmers will spray the crop with a formalin solution. While the solution keeps the crops looking fresh, it's incredibly damaging to the body. The formalin is a solution of formaldehyde and other chemicals used as disinfectants. If ingested, it can cause serious health issues. Number 14. Canned peaches. While canned peaches aren't the healthiest option out there anyway, those exported from China are especially damaging. However, it's not just what's inside the product that makes these Chinese goods dangerous, it's that can that they come in. In a study conducted by Australian officials, the researchers discovered that the cans from China were bursting with lead. With twice the amount of legal lead in each can, the harmful substance is bound to infuse with the sugary peaches. The effects of lead poisoning are well documented, including reduced muscle coordination and damage to your kidneys and nervous system. Avoid lead poisoning by avoiding canned peaches from China. Number 15. Oil. While not all oil from China is tainted, The lack of security precautions and food safety laws makes it far too easy for Chinese manufacturers to sell disgusting products. Their actions with oil are especially egregious. A while back, a massive food company in China decided to take used oil from restaurants, filter it, repackage it, and sell it as new oil. If you're buying oil from China, you might be purchasing recycled oil that had been cleaned rather than new oil. Since you don't know where all that oil has been, it's better to be safe and purchase oil not exported from China. And here's the bonus: soy sauce. Despite its high sodium content, soy sauce is probably a staple in your fridge. It's the perfect condiment to toss onto white rice, and it can add flavor to your favorite Asian-inspired dish. Unfortunately, soy sauce imported from China is known to have 4-methylidazole, a cancer-causing chemical. While this chemical isn't in every soy sauce bottle, it plagues over 25% of all the soy sauce that comes out of China. If you want to keep your favorite condiment in your kitchen without fear, don't purchase a bottle that comes from China. Read the label carefully. Well, there you go. You just found out the 15 foods exported from China you should never eat. Where do you shop for your foods? Were you surprised by any of these? Do you eat out at restaurants often? How do you avoid foods from unknown sources? Share in the comments below. Check out this video popping up on screen right now if you haven't already seen it. See you on the next one.